Have you ever wondered what's beyond the fierce battles and dramatic storylines in Demon Slayer? Well, get ready to explore the charming and heartwarming romances between the characters. From Nezuko and Zenitsu to Sanami and Kanai, let's dive into every relationship in Demon Slayer. Starting off with a fan favorite and probably the most well-known ship, Nezuko and Zenitsu. Despite being a coward towards demons, Zenitsu develops a huge crush on Nezuko. When Zenitsu sees Nezuko for the first time, he immediately falls in love with her and tries to catch her attention. Oh, and did you know that he even got mad at Tanjiro at first, because he thought that Tanjiro was Nezuko's boyfriend? Well, fast forward during the Mugen Train incident, Zenitsu dreams about Nezuko where he holds her hand, showing her a place with delicious peaches, and promises to make a flower crown with white clovers for her. Even in his sleep, when Nezuko is in danger fighting the train demon, Zenitsu jumps to her rescue and promises to always protect her. At some point after the final battle with Muzan, a quote from Zenitsu to the Kakushi is spoken. "Please, if I die, tell my wife Nezuko that I love her, and that I was brave, and I thought of her until the very end." He may be weird, but they will eventually marry and start a family in the final chapters, having 4 great-grandchildren. Also, same as Zenitsu himself, it was love at first sight for Obanai when he first met Mitsuri under the sakura tree. He is very protective of her, and hates it when someone calls Mitsuri empty-headed. He finds it hard to express his feelings to her due to his belief that he's unworthy to love because of his past trauma. This also explains why when they eat together, Obanai just sits and waits till Mitsuri is done because he doesn't want to scare her with the scars on his face. However, it didn't stop their love for one another. He loves to shower her with food and gifts. Remember the green socks that Mitsuri loves to pair with her uniform? Yep, those were from Obanai. Did you also know that Obanai got jealous when Tanjiro told him that he spends some of his time in Mitsuri's estate for training? He even gave Tanjiro a hard time during the Hashira training arc, all because he was jealous. At the very end of their lives after their battle against Muzan, Mitsuri asks Obanai to take her as his wife if they were reborn as humans. Obanai agrees and promises to make her happy and protect her better by then. Fortunately, in their next lives, they got to fulfill this vow and got married. Now, speaking of marriage, Tengen Uzui's name will never be missed in the Demon Slayer fandom. We all know he has 3 wives, namely Makio, Suma, and Hinatsuru. No wonder he's a front-runner when it comes to character popularity, and also one of the best-looking and charismatic characters. Tanjiro explained in the outro of episode 12 of season 2 that the Uzui family actually practices polygamy, which means having more than one spouse at the same time. When Tengen turned 15, the head of the family had chosen his wife, and they were never wrong in choosing the perfect fit for him. Tengen showed a lot of affection and respect toward his wives, revealing that he prioritized them more than anyone and anything else. To him, they are the most beautiful, precious, and heartwarming kunoichis in the world. What qualities do the 3 ladies share in relation to Tengen Uzui, despite their differences, you might ask? Well, the trio shares similar qualities such as loyalty, love, and commitment to him. Now let's move on to the romantic connection between Amane and Kaguya. The relationship between the two was not explored much like the other characters' love stories. However, it is clear that they really care for one another. The level of respect they have for each other is such a couple's goal. Amane met Kaguya when she was 17 years old, and he was 13 at the time. Despite their young age, they were arranged to marry. It was crucial for Kaguya to marry at the time, to produce an heir so that they could continue the Ubuyashiki clan's initiative to defeat Muzan for years to come. It was a priest that selected Amane to be Kaguya's wife, a woman who'd take good care of him as well as assist with his medical needs. But did you know that Kaguya set one condition regarding arranged marriage? Well, he said that he'll only agree if Amane would care for him out of her own free will. Amane adored Kaguya, despite their age difference, and married him because of love, and not because she was forced to. Eventually, they had their quintuplets. Now, who do you think ended up with Tanjiro? Well, for Tanjiro and Canal shippers out there, you're in luck because yes, it was Tanjiro's good boy Riz that hooked the extra mega super introverted Canal. Well, Tanjiro and Canal first met on the final selection exam. However, there was no interaction between them, and they went their separate ways. Their conversation started when Tanjiro realized that Canal is so reliant on coin flips when making decisions. He dares her to follow her heart, stating that if the coin lands on heads, then she should do as Tanjiro wishes. Tanjiro flips the coin in the air and, guess what? It lands on heads, giving her the freedom to make her own decisions. As Tanjiro leaves, Canal's eyes light up for the first time. That marks the beginning of their growing relationship. As the story goes on, it may seem like Canal has a crush on Tanjiro. She starts showing more feelings and determination, especially when Tanjiro comes back to recover at the Butterfly Mansion after the battle in the entertainment district. Years later, after the battle against Muzan, Canal and Tanjiro finally marry and start a family. In the final chapter, which is set in the modern day, two siblings are introduced, Kanata and Sumihiko. These siblings are revealed to be the descendants of Tanjiro Kamado, proving that Kanao and Tanjiro had kids. Moving on, it may not be evident that Guiyu and Shinobu have a romantic relationship in the anime or in the manga series, but it is sure that these two are a perfect match and have an intense chemistry for many of the fans of this show. Despite Guiyu's cold and distant demeanor, it is Shinobu who, among all the pillars, understands him the most and shares the strongest bond with him. Some fans said that Shinobu is obvious in showing that she liked Guiyu. In one of their missions, Shinobu utters the words, "Isn't the moon lovely?" And in Japan, poets interpret this as, "I love you." Now, spoiler alert, in the manga, Shinobu's death deeply impacts everyone, causing everyone's hearts to break. They have a really deep story, although they are non-canon and considered as a tragic pairing in the manga. In the end, it's all about how each viewer sees and interprets things, which, in actuality, adds more spice and color. Now let's proceed with the tragic Romeo and Juliet-like romance of Akaza and Koyuki. Before Akaza was turned into a demon by Muzan, he lived an unfortunate life as a human, where he was banished from Edo, followed by the death of his father. His life changes when he meets Keizo, who later introduces him to his sickly daughter, Koyuki. As Koyuki grew older, the heir of the neighboring dojo fell in love with her. However, he is arrogant and can't sympathize with Koyuki's illness. During a severe asthma attack, Koyuki was left abandoned in the dojo. In her moment of pain, Akaza discovered her, alone and suffering, and decided to rescue her from the terrible situation, ultimately saving her life and taking her away from the dojo. 3 years passed, and Koyuki's health improved as their relationship grew closer together. Keizo offered Akaza to take over the dojo, and even gave his blessing for him to be with his daughter. However, before they even got married, Koyuki and her father were poisoned by the rival dojo leader. Her death causes Akaza to go into an uncontrollable rage, and he ends up taking the lives of 67 members from the rival dojo, the ones behind the poisoning. Following the massacre, he encountered Muzan and was turned into a demon. And did you know that Akaza doesn't eat women and children as a demon? Well, that's because despite having no memories of when he was still human, Akaza still holds deep feelings for Koyuki and refuses to harm women for centuries as a demon. Now, in connection to Muzan, let's talk about his #1 enemy / nightmare, Yoriichi Tsugikuni, who also has a tragic love story. Koyoharu Gotoge seriously loves the star-crossed lovers trope. Anyway, Yoriichi met Uta in the mountains, where he discovered she lives alone as her family died due to an illness. Uta is very talkative, which is the total opposite of Yoriichi's silent personality. She would talk non-stop, and it was through her that Yoriichi first realized how other people didn't see things the same way he did. Say, for instance, the transparent world. As the pair lived together, they grew quite close, and 10 years later they got married. Unfortunately, as Uta was carrying their first child together, she was slaughtered by a demon. Yoriichi was so devastated that he spent the entire 10-day period holding his dead wife's body. And in his final conversation with Sumiyoshi, he admitted that his only wish was to spend a peaceful life with Uta and their child, highlighting how she was the love of his life. He then never married again and had no heirs till his death due to old age. Okay, enough with the tragedy and drama. Let's move forward to one of the most loved characters of the series. Inosuke is well known for his short temper and pride. But who would have thought that such an intimidating guy would catch a love interest in Aoi Kanzaki? Well, Inosuke and Aoi first met on the Butterfly Estate after his battle together with Tanjiro and Zinitsu on Mount Naragumo. At first, Inosuke finds it hard to defeat Aoi in all the tasks because he lacks determination. However, with time, he learns to adjust and eventually overcomes her. One cute scene between them is when Inosuke sneaks into the kitchen to get some food, but Aoi catches him in the act. Instead of scolding him, she offers Inosuke a special tray of food just for him, allowing him to eat as much as he wants. This kind gesture changes Inosuke's perspective of her. Years and years later, they ended up together and got married. In chapter 205, we get to meet Aoba Hashibara, a descendant of Inosuke and Aoi. And guess what? Well, he's so much like our favorite boar-headed demon slayer, a man with a pretty face, but the gentle version of Inosuke. Now, although these couples have a very short exposure in the series, their love story still deserves to be on this list. Tanjiro's late father, Tanjiro Kamado, is described as a quiet, charismatic, and loving person, and is married to Kie, and they were blessed to have 6 children. Kie Kamado was an incredibly caring mother and devoted wife to her family. They lived a peaceful life on a remote mountain in Japan, where, unfortunately, Tanjiro, her husband, became bedridden due to an illness later on in his lifetime. However, Kie remained by his side, offering unwavering love, loyalty, and support to him and the family. Despite lacking a narrative in the anime series about how their love grew, it may appear that the couple had a wonderful life before Tanjiro died of his illness, which was followed by Kibutsuji Muzan's merciless massacre of the Kamado family in the very first episode of the series. Now, speaking of family, Sumiyoshi and Suyako also have a significant role in the Kamado family since they are their ancestral lineage. Same as Kie and Tanjiro, we don't get to know much of their background story. Sumiyoshi looks like the older version of Tanjiro, which proves they are relatives, and was also a good friend of Yoriichi. On the other hand, Suyako is described as a small girl who always wears a wide, charming smile. Fans speculated that the couple's newborn child might be Tanjiro's father, Tanjiro. But this was later disproved because Sumiyoshi and Yoriichi lived 100 years before Tanjiro's time. Down to our last pair, we have Kanai and Sanami. Them being shipped is a rare occurrence. However, they have a huge popularity in Japan if we're talking about the amount of fan work. Sane Kana became famous because people noticed how they are the opposite attracts personified. Or should I say, anime-fied? Anyways, Gyomei Himejima even claimed that Sanemi had a crush on Kanai, although there has been no confirmation from Sanemi himself. It was also revealed that Sanemi enjoyed spending his free time talking to Kanai. Well, I guess Gyomei was right all along. Sanemi's tough nature and Kanai's gentleness complemented each other well. Their potential looks and shared traits made fans ship them together. Even though they are very different, Kanai and Sanemi also have a lot in common. They are both the oldest in their families and want to protect their younger siblings. Demons have taken most of their family away, and they have similar reasons for becoming demon slayers. And that is to avenge their loved ones. Now, who's your favorite couple? Let us know by commenting down below. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified of our latest updates. But before you go, have you ever wondered what would happen if Tanjiro had mastered a different breathing technique? Check this video to find out.